Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar with a brand new mic. How y'all doing today?
That is actually his best intro yet.
Well, how do I sound, actually?
Sounding better. You're sounding better, bro.
Yeah,
Excellent.
you look less of a IT guy.
This is the first time you guys can see like my full face.
Yeah, but it's like you're still ready to take a call at any moment.
Oh shit! There it is.
Who do we have on the line now? Umar takes the call.
Excuse me. All right, so let's jump into our geeky news for this week. We've got quite a bit to talk about. Well, some more than others. So, we will discuss first and foremost the DC Fandome 2 announcement that came out earlier last week, and essentially what did you guys think of their presentation?
I'll go first. Meh. A heavy exclamation mark. Meh. That's it.
Why, Darcy? Why?
One, I'm just not hyped for anything DC right now in general. And two, they didn't give us anything. like if Fandome is coming, I'm like, yeah, but last one didn't really live up very strong with what you delivered. So what am I going to be hyped for now?
That's true. How about you, Tax? Well, Tax. I don't know. I've never called you that, but I was trying something. Sorry. How about you, T?
I don't care. Yeah, I just don't care.
Well, also, all they did was give us the Superman music, like John Williams' score from 1989, 1978 Superman, and a bunch of titles. Not even movie titles, just words on a screen.
Yeah.
In recent news, I did hear though they are planning on going ahead with the Black Superman.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
They're seeking a director and writer.
Why the delay, guys? Jeez.
No, director and actor. Yeah,
that's why I don't plan it to be that much new. They don't have a director, they don't have an actor. It's okay.
The one thing I'll say though that I'm excited for that is, and only because I was watching John Campion and he gave me this idea, but it is always good when you get a new way of telling a story. And I feel like if they take, I'm not saying from a story perspective, but just the element that I always forget, but that one where basically Superman was Zod's child and landed in Mexico and looked kind of Mexican.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters, and how that changes the dynamic of who he becomes. Right. I hope that if they're taking the black character, that they really explore that aspect, that he's not really a black person. He's, in terms of the fact he's an alien from a different planet, he's not of a black race, but he looks that way. So his experience ends up becoming that. So I hope if they go down that road that they explore it, because if they don't, it's going to be some old bullshit.
Now, okay, but but in saying that, do you want it to be a different interpretation of Clark Kent? Or do you want it to be a completely different character, but just still donning the persona of Superman?
So, from my understanding, there is actually this character actually exists in comics, and his name is Calvin Harris. And so I would want them to take from the comics, because if they just invent something, I'm sure they'll screw it up wildly. So you need some source material to work from. But obviously, take that and then write a story that makes sense today. I just want to see the perspective of what if Superman was black in the world that we live in. But will they do that, or will they popcorn right over it and just hint, someone says something kind of racist, oh, racism exists, but and then he just does some kind of stupid Superman, but don't be racist, and then it's over, and you're that. If they do something stupid like that, then I'll be yeah, that will never ever recover, in my opinion.
That's also because so go on, T.
No, I was just gonna say it'll be interesting to see a depiction of Superman as an African American and how he's treated in comparison to the Caucasian version? Like, is he going to be as well received as Clark Kent was as Superman? Like, are they going to play up to that trope in terms of like, oh, like, are we now worshiping like a black superhero kind of thing? Like, are they going to get that edgy and take it all the way there like that, or
he's more
are
like
they
a
going to play
vigilante?
closer?
Yeah, exactly. Because like what I was going to say was DC has what we've seen so far in terms of DC's depth is not great.
Mhm.
Like Zack Snyder has none, and
arguably he brings the most.
yeah, which is a sad thing to say. But nonetheless, like if by some twist of fate DC decides to redo everything and get some actual proper writers in there, and they do like Falcon and Winter Soldier level shit with this, I mean, they could. I would be very impressed with this, but they could take it to the fact that like showing that a black man and basically how black people have had to deal with a great deal more forbearance than any white individual has to, aka how they're able to like actually handle years of oppression and still be like as good as they are. This Superman can actually be shown as more we're kind of like the Steve Rogers, like you're like, oh, the little guy who like we all believe in, but this is like the Superman that we all want to follow, and we can actually believe that he's someone we could follow, as opposed to some dude from the farm.
Yeah. I also know that he's going to back to Tactix question too, is also that in the comics he's the president of the United States. So I don't know how that trajectory happens, but that's an interesting thing. I don't know if they'll play that or not, but there's one thing that I think that could be really well written in this, and you can have a lot of interesting perspective, is his, if they don't make him a president, like it's a very origin story, what I would expect. So well before he becomes that, if they want to take it there, is the dynamic between his alter ego and being the superhero. Even if he is like a vigilante, he'll still be seen as a powerful individual. Then when he's like a regular person, the dynamic of how different those experiences be, because like Clark Kent is not like looked down on, other than the fact he's like nerdy and like, he makes himself like lesser. But his troubles are more of his own creation in that scenario, whereas this Calvin Harris character is going to deal with a whole bunch of stuff that the Clark Kent character never dealt with, and then he gets to be a superhero and maybe look at completely the opposite. So that could be an interesting dichotomy they could write into if they're smart.
Another interesting piece, well, it currently is a rumor, but for the upcoming Static Shock movie, a possible rumor for casting is Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger, like the kid from Stranger Things. What do you guys think of that for Static Shock?
Yeah, I'm down. Sold.
I don't see it yet. Not yet.
He is young. I will give him that. He is pretty young.
I feel like they're growing up quite a bit, because I think we were thinking of them in the beginning of Stranger Things, but as like the times progress, they're growing fast because they're in the pubescent era of their life, right? So like you'll be like see them in a movie one, you're like, I don't see it, and then you see him next year, like, oh, that motherfucker's big.
Yeah, I can kind of see
no,
that,
it's not so much. It's not so much the age. It's more the I haven't seen him in enough to really decide to be there. Yeah, like to get to be convinced that he can pull it off. I'm not doubting his skills. I like from what I've seen in Stranger Things, and like I saw him in the new edition biopic or whatever. But yeah, like I mean, he's a good actor. I just don't know based off of like I'm comparing it from like the cartoon, the old cartoon, not even like in Young Justice. I don't yet see him fit in the bill for that role yet, but I'm open to it. Like from what I've seen, and like yeah.
I think he'll visually. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I think he'll visually look the part. I think we've seen good acting chops in Stranger Things. I haven't seen the biopic, but I also struggle with biopics because I usually feel like the acting is in a direction, and those usually end up suffering, and so I don't usually.
They're very hit or miss, yeah.
Yeah, they're very hit or miss, and like because you're trying to emulate a person to a T, and they usually don't put enough budget in for the training of that. they fail. So I feel like it depends on how they write it too, like the tone of it, because as much as we'll compare it to the show, they might change the tone a bit. Like they need to keep the core of it, but the tone might change a bit, and he might even suit it more appropriately in terms of his like style of acting because of the tone shifts.
I have a question for both of you. Based off the films that feature African Americans or people of color, who would you get to write or direct a Static Shock film?
I don't know. I think this is kind of harsh to say. It's kind of beneath his status or his pay grade right now, given like the body of work that he has now. But I think Ryan Coogler could do a really good job at this with the right, like if he was to write it, obviously, because within the show it was very progressive for the era that Static Shock was released, or for the time that Static Shock was released, and it dealt with gang war. And to Darcy's point, I think 2 weeks ago when they talked about the discovery of Richie's dad, Static Shock's best friend, being a racist, like that was another really big, impactful episode. And I think if you kind of take it in that direction in terms of the tonality of the film, and you speak on a lot of current events that are happening right now with the whole woke movement, Black Lives Matter, things of that nature, I think you could really get a really impactful message out of this, out of a movie like this. And I think for someone like Ryan Coogler, he could tackle a lot of these issues within the story of Static Shock and make it more than just a superhero film, just like Black Panther was more than just a superhero film, right? So
why would this be beneath him? Didn't he do Black Panther?
No, he did. But I'm just saying that for like a new property like this, where it's like nobody really knows about Static Shock other than like it's got a small like margin of like of fans, right? So it's not a very popular property, right? Or franchise, right? So
gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know,
Darcy.
I don't know if he'd be willing to do it.
I think honestly he would be willing to do it, because I don't feel like him and Michael B. Jordan, because they run in the circle together, but like, and they have a production company together. I feel like they would be more caring about ushering the character in properly and telling the story than they would about whether the financial success. And I feel like they know the financial success would come from it. They would like put the work out, it would blow up, and then they would be like, yeah, we're gonna bank anyways. We'll make this into a character. But I was gonna say the same person, but you know, I was like, and I feel like part of it is also a negative that I want to say the same person, because there's not enough well-known Black like writers out there. So I was like, I want to throw another person out here that I think could be really interesting, but I wouldn't say over Ryan Coogler. But I kind of feel like Spike Lee could be very interesting, because I'm like thinking like he had like recently watching like the Black Klansman, like I'm like yeah, like he still has that ability to have like a really like fun tone, and he wouldn't shy away from the messaging that needs to come through because it's what he's all about. I would honestly, I even want to say this. I would love to see the two of them pair in some kind of way. Like one is the writer and one is like another like oversighting person, whoever that makes more sense. Because I feel like there's something in this character that Black Panther is like this otherworldly, larger than life thing, but this one is more grounded, right?
This one's more like this isn't a fictional world in the sense of like everything about it. It's like, no, this is a fictional individual in the real world setting.
Yeah, and most of his character is real. It's just the power is the fake aspect to it. Yeah. And so I would love to see some kind of combination there. I think that could be amazing.
Cool.
I've got another one. I got one more. And this is a little bit unorthodox, but I would actually like to see Donald Glover take a stab at it.
Ooh.
based on Atlanta,
yeah.
I would love to see some elements of that in a Static Shock film.
Actually, I think he would be the perfect person to write Static Shock.
Yeah, he
mixed with his humor and everything.
Because he can write comedy because he started there.
Yeah.
He can write drama. He can mix all that together. He's
and he can capture the voice of the youth.
Yeah.
That I think that's perfect actually.
Yeah, that is actually like probably a stronger cross between the two. But yeah. Oh man.
Nice one. All right. So moving on to the big geeky news that happened this past week is the Marvel Phase 4 trailer that came out. Everyone, like, YouTube apparently decided to call it the Eternals trailer, even though it was like 7 seconds. But nonetheless, Phase 4. I gotta say, I was really excited. I like watching that trailer. Like the first half was just like recapping everything we've seen, and with Stan Lee's voiceover, and I got a little misty. I'm not gonna lie. But then they showed, some scenes from Eternals and a few other upcoming films. But also they gave us a shit ton of release dates. Like we saw Black Widow, we saw Eternals, and
Ant-Man.
And Ant-Man. Yeah. No, wait.
Yep. They announced Ant-Man and then
no. I meant in terms of like footage. We saw like
footage. Sorry.
Yeah. Black Widow footage and Eternals footage, and then we just saw like nonstop titles. So, what did you guys think of that?
Oh, by the way, Umar, it was Shang-Chi. The other footage.
Shang-Chi. Thank you.
I knew. I just came to me.
There was a third one. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah. Tactix, why don't you take this one first?
Yeah, man.
It was sentimental. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little misty eyed too there, Umar. I was confused as fuck because I was like, this is not Eternals trailer. What the fuck is going on? So I was just like, what? So like I actually clicked off the first time, like midway through, because I was like, this is not what I signed up for. It's nice, but I'm like, I want to see the Eternals trailer. I'll get to this sentimental shit after. And then I realized it was just the same thing, right? So I watched I mean, it's hard to really give a review of this because it didn't really show you much. Like you said, it was only 7 seconds of like, of clips. I have no context for what the Eternals is about. I'm not familiar with the characters at all. I don't know anything about the Eternals at all. I know nothing.
Okay. Then never mind then.
So this trailer for me went right over my head. Like it was great to finally see the announcements of like all the films that are coming out, but other than that,
that title for Black Panther.
Yeah, very nice touch. Very nice. I'm still kind of confused. I'm not confused, but I'm like, how? Like I know they're gonna pull it off, but I'm like, how? How though?
I think they're purposely messing with us. Yeah, because they're saying that Ryan Coogler. 100%. Yeah, like they're saying that like Ryan Coogler has been like fixing things up to make it like make sure that Chadwick Boseman, aka T'Challa, is really like his presence is very felt during the film, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
How about you? How about you, Darcy?
So first off, I was so confused at first. I thought there was a fan made video, and I was being like,
never gonna give you up.
Like when on YouTube, they'll be like, months before, it's like, here's the trailer, and then you open it up, and then it's just like old footage. Oh. And I was like, so I thought I was so confused. I wasn't even actually, to be honest, enjoying the first half because I was like, what the hell? Who like. Why is this on the Marvel page? It doesn't make no sense. Why does it say like this, but then it's like someone just copped together a bunch of clips? So that threw me off. To be honest with you, like I need more to be excited for the Eternals right now. I don't know anything about them. The clips seemed aight, but there's something about it looked like older Marvel like cinematography, and it looked kind of like, I don't want to say Marvel / Lost in the very first scene when I saw them, and I was just kind of like, huh? So I don't know, like I just wasn't hyped for the Eternals, but I also was like, I'll leave my feelings for later because I don't know anything right now, and it's like a quick 7 seconds, and like there's nothing here to hype me, and I don't know anything, so it's just like a bunch of well-lit superheroes running around, and that's all I could kind of feel from it. I don't know. This overall one was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I don't know. It was just like, it was cool, but I but I didn't really get pulled into this video very much.
Okay, I was pretty hyped, but then again, like I do have a little bit more background with them. I loved finding out about Black Panther's title and also finding out it's not Captain Marvel 2, it's called The Marvels, aka Kamal Khan is going to be in the second Captain Marvel movie.
Dope. I actually didn't pick up on that. Yeah, I think the Black Panther thing was the only thing in there that I had like an emotional moment. But I could have had an emotional moment for the first part if I just wasn't confused and thought that I was being like tricked with like somebody copying the other stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, for me,
I had to watch it a second time to get the feels, because I was just like you, Darcy. I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, is someone trolling?" And Umar was the one who put it in the chat, so I was like, "Why did you post this?" Like,
yeah, exactly.
I was getting ready to cuss you out, bro.
For me, I gotta say, like when I clicked on it, I was just like, "Are they doing a recap?" Because I was like, "Oh, since this is not." I originally thought they were showing that they've been there the whole time. And that they were going to show them throughout the phase 1 to 3. And then I'm like, oh, this is just a memorial? Is this a recap? And then it's like, oh, okay, it's a recap.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they should not have clickbaited that title. That's all I'm saying. They should come up with a better freaking title. They could have said like Eternals, blah, blah, blah. But the first words can't be Eternals official trailer.
Yeah,
and
that was bad.
It's not about them at all. The first minute and a half is not about the movie.
And the thing is, you don't even need to clickbait us. We're gonna watch it. Like, you're gonna get the views. Like,
you have your audience. You don't need to mess with us.
Yeah, but you can make this title "Upcoming Marvel Films" like as boring as possible. Be like, click,
or just Phase 4. Just say Phase 4, and people will read it.
Yeah,
or watch it.
Two words.
So yeah, like nonetheless, I'm super excited for Eternals. Seeing the stuff that I saw. It's hella dope for me. It's possibly going to be the most woke movie that Marvel ever made, and that's saying something because like the director just won an Oscar for No Man's Land, and like they have the most diverse cast and brown represent. I finally got some brown represent in a movie. Just let me have this.
Yeah, just say it cool.
He got ripped, bro.
She got shredded.
Yo, that dude is jacked, bro. He might be on the juice, but he's jacked.
His wife. I remember watching like they were doing, him and his wife were doing like an interview together, and he went like this, like that, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm still not used to your muscles," and she's like, "I can't even look at you right now."
Oh, man.
But yeah, so like I'm super stoked. I loved every second of it, and I rewatched it 3 times just to maintain the first time experience. But moving on to our big thing. Well, we have 2 big topics today, so we might as well go to the first one. Mortal Kombat recently dropped, and viewers and listeners have heard our our reactions to the trailers, and you know that 2 out of 3 of us were very, very excited for this film, while one just was being a hater. Now that the movie has dropped,
rub it in, bro. that big ass smile, bro.
yeah. Don't make me come over there and shove that microphone down.
He's been waiting for this moment, bro.
Yo,
waiting.
Yo, I'm gonna do a finishing move on you, bro.
So, Tactix, how about you start us off? What were your thoughts on Mortal Kombat, the new movie?
Fuck. Okay. So I know I originally rated this when you guys asked me. I gave it a 6.5. Since then, my rating has dropped significantly. Because I had the movie started to marinate with me a little bit more, and I was like, when I initially watched it, I was like, okay, I love it for the fan service, and we get a lot of fan service without the substance, unfortunately. Right? I actually found the original first movie, not Annihilation, because Annihilation is an abomination, but the first movie,
agreed.
The first movie
film,
the first movie actually had way better character development, a way better storyline. It still had the same amount of cheese, but it was a more cohesive film in comparison to this. A lot of shit just randomly happens and it's very convenient. And it's like I don't even know where to begin with this review. But I actually ended up watching Scorpion's Revenge. I think Darcy was talking about it. And I passed on it originally, but after watching this Mortal Kombat, I was like, okay, I need to at least check this one out and see like the comparisons. And it's so much more. It's so much better than the live action movie that we just got, and way more violent. Like they were like the trailer of the live action movie makes it seem like it's going to be excessively gory. I was expecting like video game fatalities and shit. And the most memorable one that I can still think of is the one with Kung Lao, how he like severs that girl in half. That was like the most brutal one. And the Jax getting his arms ripped off. But even then we saw that in the trailer, right? So I was hoping that they were going to give us more of that. And I can't really remember any other scenes that were really like that took it to that level, right? So I was a little bit disappointed in that. Like again, a lot of random shit happens. Like Sonya Blade, it like just suddenly got her Akana after killing Kano, and then automatically knew how to do it and was ready for the fight instantly. I was like, how the fuck did that happen? And then on top of that, this whole Akana thing is like bullshit, because it's like, you mean to tell me that like a senile old man could accidentally like hit someone with their car, kill the person, and then now the fate of the world rests on this old man's shoulders? Like it doesn't make any sense.
I assume it had to be done through Mortal Kombat, but like I am just putting that there. Like there was no explanation.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I was just like, wait, so any random person could just take a life, and that because that's how Kano got his. He just killed the guy, and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm the fate of the world rests on my shoulders now. I'm gonna be fighting for the good of the earth and shit. And I'm like, wait, what? How the fuck does that work? And then there's just a lot of and then I hated how Jax got his fucking Arcana. Like that shit was just fucking.
It didn't make any sense.
Whack as shit to me. I was like, okay, so they're probably gonna like add like mechanical. They're like still in the process of building his arms, and then that's like But all of a sudden, he's trying to lift the boulder, and then I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on? I just see him like transforming and shit. It's like I'm like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, he's got these big jacked arms, and I'm like, at that point, I checked out. I was like, okay, I'm done with this fucking movie, man. Like, so.
What's your
I could go on and on. I'm gonna have to give this like 5.5, man. Like I like it for the costume design was really dope. Some of the so the Scorpion and the Sub-Zero shit saved the movie for me, but there wasn't enough of it. We didn't even get Scorpion until the very end. So I wish they actually did it like they did it in Scorpion's Revenge, and just kind of they already had the template there. Just use that and like make that a movie. Like we didn't need all this. Like, and it's not there's not even a Mortal Kombat. There's no Mortal Kombat. This is like a prequel. And it's like, what the fuck?
Bro, you're taking my point. You're taking my point.
I'm just like, wait, what is going on? And I'm like, the movie's over? Like, what why
where's the tournament?
Mortal Kombat? Yeah. There's no tournament. And Shang Tsung was fucking whack as shit. Like he did nothing. Like, I'm sorry, Darcy. Go ahead, man. Like I'm fucking done.
So you stole my main point. So
I was gonna say the same thing too.
So let me start with the good stuff. Let me backtrack. I enjoyed the fan service, and for the most part, I was like, because I was going into this going like, I'm not expecting a great story. I want to see all the moments, right? So I was enjoying all the moments, but the thing that really pissed me off was like, I'm like, okay, this stuff is whack. This stuff doesn't make any sense, but I'm ignoring that. I'm here for the fun, right? I'm here for like, Fast and the Furious, but obviously that's what far better written. But
and that's saying something, yo.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I will agree with that.
Fast and Furious is not. It's written correctly. it's just not trying to be a smart story. It's trying to be like point A to point B. Just make sure it makes sense to get there, right? I mean, they're cars.
Mortal Kombat makes Fast and the Furious look like Shakespeare, bro. Like that's how bad it is, man.
So here's the thing for me. The thing that pissed me off the most was the fact there was no tournament. I'm like, the fact I was left with blue balls at the very end of the movie. I was like, okay, we got to the Sub-Zero fight, and I'm like, and the one fight that really pissed me off was obviously all the fight editing, shaky cam shit is stupid, but the one thing that pissed me off was when they finally like grouped together, and of course was it Jax who was like the leader or whatever. No, it wasn't Jax. It was Jax should have been the leader is what my thought was. When they were come up with a plan, it was what's his name, the new guy, Cole. I'm like, all this movie, he's proven that he's not ready to like lead himself, let alone other people. And Jax is the most likely person to lead people because he's been a fucking leader in the military. And then you're like, this guy's like, I have a plan. And you're like, the fuck, you barely were you were leaving 2 minutes ago. But anyways, so when they go to have all those fights, it pissed me off that they were showing them simultaneously, because I should have saw one fight, then another fight, then another fight, because it's a fucking tournament movie. And then I'm like, all that's done, Sub-Zero's done. I'm like, okay. And I don't know what time is like on the movie. I'm not checking. And I'm sitting there like, okay, now they're gonna go to like Netherworld, and now we're gonna have like a tournament, right? And the movie's done. And I'm like, they're like, what are we gonna do? Oh, we'll find new fighters. I'm like, why? You're right fucking here. Like, just go fight. So, all right, things that I liked. What were you saying? What's his name? Lao Kang. I'm horrible with names.
Liu Kang?
Liu Kang. See, every fucking episode, I'll tell you, I'm horrible with names. So Liu Kang, his fatality was awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I enjoyed like the Sub-Zero Scorpion stuff. I really enjoyed it up like when Jax got his arms broken off, because at this point I was really into the movie. Like I was like, there's a lot of hype and suspense as to where this was going to go. But yeah, then once they got to Raiden's temple, whatever that thing was, that's when it started feeling like shit. Like it just wasn't kind of coming together. Raiden was worse than the white guy. Like he was so much worse. Like
fucking useless.
Yeah, he was useless. He was angry, and he was like, the acting was just, it made no sense. Help
nobody.
Yeah, that was just. But the costumes were great. Even though, ironically, with all of that being said, I'm still down for a second.
No, yeah, agreed. I actually am too.
Like, I'm like, but you know what would have made the perfect movie? This would have made the perfect movie if they literally just went and said, like, we're new writers, we're new directors. Let's not fuck this up. Okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna take the Scorpion's revenge plot, where Scorpion and Sub-Zero have that, because they essentially steal that plot, right? And we'll take the original movie and we'll just basically take the original story, but just upgrade everything to make more sense, like the stuff that doesn't make sense in that movie. Upgrade all the visuals, make new sets and stuff like that. But just basically take the same story and then just intertwine. The very beginning movie opens up with the Sub-Zero Scorpion thing, and that's a big thing near the end, like a big fight near the end of the tournament. And we'll just have these two guys like always trying to fight throughout the film, but they always get interrupted by Raiden or somebody else, and that it doesn't happen until the tournament, like an actual tournament fight. Just take the first movie, upgrade it, and just put this like new subplot in there, and then bam, that would have been a perfect film. Like, I don't think anyone
didn't need to be in the film at all. Like, you could have just made Liu Kang that character, and then just created exposition around him. Like, they just wasted that whole arc on a random character that has no purpose in Mortal Kombat at all.
It was a good idea, but it failed. I didn't mind the tattoo that people were born with, or the birthmark. I don't like what they did with it, but I wouldn't mind just a simple concept like people had this tattoo and they were chosen, and that kind of what brought them together, but for like no other reason but that. I don't like how they got their arcana. That stuff's bullshit. But yeah,
What would you rate it out of 10?
I'm still leave it as a 6 out of 10 because I still enjoyed a bunch of moments. But again, I kind of went into expecting some bullshit. So
I
and
thought
go ahead.
Cole was going to transform into Scorpion. That would have been dope to me. And then him and Sub-Zero would have ended up fighting.
Not that motherfucker just became like his superpower was a punching bag.
Yeah.
Like his superpower was cultural appropriation from Black Panther.
Yeah. And they did Goro dirty again, bro.
All right. So here's my take on it. I told you so. Anyway, so
that is where you need to leave it.
I will say that like when I sat down and I started watching the movie and like the first scene happens, I was like, holy shit, I was so wrong. This is actually pretty good, guys. Like, this is pretty good. And I was like, this is 7 minutes in. I totally fucked up. And then the rest of the movie happened. And I was like, well, it's good to know that I'm not totally off my game. I will say this. Unlike with like Suicide Squad or like fantastic the last Fantastic Four movie, this wasn't a nosedive film. It didn't just keep getting worse. It was really awesome, dipped, and then stayed consistent. Yeah. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'll give it credit for not getting worse as the film went on. In terms of that's about all I can really give it. I would say the only time I laughed in that entire film was when like I didn't find Kano to be in any way funny, except for when Liu Kang touched him on the shoulder and he was like, "The fuck." That was the only thing that made me laugh, just because I felt that it was just an ad-libbed moment. Like he just like got grabbed and he was like, "Who the fuck's touching me?" Anyway, that's all I can say I enjoyed. The ending fight scene even disappointed me because like as much as we all were joking, well, I was making fun of it and you guys were like, "Don't even make fun of it." It disappointed because it didn't really go to the lengths of the first scene. And I was like, come on, you set it up. Why can't you end it off on the same front? Like, I would have been happy with the beginning and ending that was equal and everything else in the middle just sucked. But whatever.
One thing about the ending scene, though, before you go on, they Batman vs. Superman trailer that shit. They gave us... there were other cool moments, but they shouldn't have given it anything. They should maybe give us a flash of the showing of the two of them, and like maybe like you see like one extends an arm and he goes to black and says "get over here," and then doesn't show you nothing else, right?
I completely agree. I completely agree. For me, like I see no point in like I can't believe they're making a trilogy out of this, but like I guess that's why the tournament wasn't in this movie. But then don't call it Mortal Kombat. Call it pre-combat or something like that. Like just
you know what that sounds like that.
Pre-combat. Can you imagine the fan outrage? Just pre-combat.
Everyone be like, I don't have to watch this movie. Clearly, anyway, for me personally, I think I'm being generous, but I gave it a 4 out of 10.
I'm not surprised for that from yourself, and I'll accept it.
I do find it interesting that it's like 6, 5, and 4.
True. You know, one thing though that I'm hopeful here, they made money. People are obviously hyped, and I feel like there's gonna be enough people out there to recognize that there's problems. That my hope is that they just give these guys some training. You know, like better than what the characters got in the film, and we get an upgrade to the writing, because honestly, a lot of it is writing, and it also feels like they wasted a good amount of their budget on the first 7 minutes, and the rest of the film just kind of got a downgrade from that point. So
truth.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to something I've been looking forward to talking about for a while. We've been talking about, and all listeners and viewers have been knowing, we have been loving the season of Invincible.
Hell yeah.
We were like, I would say Tactix was the last to join the bandwagon, but that took like the second or third episode. Yeah. So our last podcast, we were talking about how much we were loving episode 7, and suffice it to say, I was going into the season finale with a great deal of high expectations. I cannot believe I'm going to say this, but Invincible actually not only met those expectations, but took it to a whole nother level. So I just got to ask, what did you guys think? Darcy, let's start with you.
Yo, this episode was as equally, and I'm stealing words because I've watched like way too many reaction videos now. But this episode is equally as sensational as it was disturbing. And it is like, first off, the like promo for season 2 that they had at the end would have been like, oh my God. But there was so much, oh my God, throughout this episode that stuff felt like I don't even give a shit. Like there was, if you had a quarter of the oh my God moments in this episode, we would still be talking about it to this length. But there was so much. Like, one, Nolan is like one of the worst villains I've ever seen. And 2, the stuff that he put his son through. Like, just that train scene, motherfucker. That train scene. Like everything, like he kills a soldier. Oh my God, that's horrible, right? Oh, he punches his son through like the fucking planet into Chicago, so that and takes out like 1,000 people, whatever. And then he just like willingly does that train scene where he holds his son's head and forces him to watch people die around him. You're like, holy shit. It is, and it's weird how it's like, it's so sensational. Like you're like so excited by how amazing the storytelling and the action is, but at the same time, it is so disturbing that a cartoon is actually, I want to say this cartoon level disturbing was like the first time you saw Saving Private Ryan and they hit that beach, and we'd never seen a movie show us something so visceral and real that you're like, oh, like it gave you nightmares. This is like almost at that level where it's just like, yo, you feel bad for cartoons like you've never felt bad for cartoons in your life. I'm gonna stop there because I could say too much.
Tactics.
I absolutely love this show, man. I know it was a slow burn for the first episode for me, but after the second episode, like you said, Umar, I was fucking hooked. And like we were talking about on the last podcast regarding Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how it was like the last episode, it was good, but it was like it didn't continue to go up in momentum. It kind of was like it gave us a good, like the second last episode was like here, and then it kind of just leveled off, and it was good. It was satisfying, right?
Yeah.
This, I agree with you, Umar, where it was like you're going up and you're thinking, okay, you know, I feel like we're at the peak, and it's just like no, like this is only the beginning. Like we're not even at the top yet of this roller coaster ride. And so I was blown away. And I agree with Darcy. It's very, very visceral, very disturbing. I was at the edge of my seat because I was like literally like just chilling, watching, like eating. And then as soon as the episode, like we're like 5 minutes in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, shit's getting real. And then the train scene by far was like the most grotesque and visceral scene that we saw in that episode. But for me, what did it was when he gets punched back into the city, and then that building is collapsing, and he goes to save the lady and the kid, and he can't hold it anymore, and the building collapses on him, and you see him, and you see the hand, and like, what's the common trope? It's like, oh, the person is okay. He pulls him out of the rubble and everything is fine. Nope, pulls it out, and it's just the hand, no body, and then the kid is nowhere to be found. Like it's implied that the kid is dead. And you're just wow, they went there. Like, because cartoons, like, let alone TV shows, don't normally do that where they kill off like young characters, right? So like they're not pulling any punches with this show. And that's what I like, because I'm like, I don't know what to expect with this show going in anymore. Like anything could happen, and like I wouldn't be surprised, like at all. So I
Tactics, like,
love
literally,
the
this is
direction.
what you just said right there is essentially what everyone who ever watched Game of Thrones for the first like 5 seasons, that was their experience. So like you're getting it from a cartoon, but it's like completely legitimate.
Yeah, I'm still not watching Game of Thrones, but yeah. Anyway,
after the last 2 seasons in that show, no one's
no
gonna
one wants to
it.
watch that show anymore because of the last 2 seasons. But like, no, continue on, Tactics.
But yeah, this show is fucking amazing. It's right up there with the boys. I love it. I can't speak highly enough about this show, and the way Darcy alluded to this earlier too when he was giving his review, but the way that they actually set up season 2 is so unique, because normally you would expect like a separate trailer to show what's to come, but the fact that he's talking to the Cyclops looking dude on the moon.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, okay, well, what are you gonna do now? And then it shows flashbacks of all the villains that are to come in the second season, and then it cuts back to Mark, and he's just like, high school. I love that. It's such a like small detail, but it's just like, oh man, the way that they execute certain things is so creative. Even with the title card, where it's like every like what Darcy was saying last week, where it's like every time someone's about to say his name, you see the Invincible logo there, right? And then I didn't know.
Bloodier.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at the time until I was watching some of the reviews, and then like you see at the end, I had to go back and be like, oh yeah, shit, it is getting bloodier as we go along. And then the other scene that really caught me off guard and was like, fuck, where Nolan's just reaming into Mark and bashing his face in. You see like his teeth getting knocked out and shit, and
his
he's just like
chin
unrecognizable.
Opens up for crying out loud.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, bro. I was like, I'm like, yo, what's going? Yo, are they gonna kill off Invincible? Because it looks pretty damn close. Like, man, I don't know, man. I could go off. Like, I'm done. Did you catch
the detail that because from the flashback to when he sees his face split open, like it's the exact same pose, like his son is like looking at him, and he's like flashes to like seeing him now
with the same teeth missing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So such good detail, man.
For me, I will say, like, I will start with the things I didn't like about this episode. At times, when they were focusing on the crowds that were getting mowed down, I wasn't a fan of the CGI that they were using. And that's it. That is the only thing I didn't like, and I only noticed that the third time I watched this episode because I wasn't even paying attention the first 2 times. In terms of, like, I will say that when I watched Batman the Animated Series growing up, I was like, this is the best show I ever watched, best cartoon I ever watched. And that pretty much held true. Superman, Justice League never reached that level. Young Justice was like, you know what? I'm a contender. And I was like, you know what? I respect you, but you're not doing anything that Batman hasn't already done. You're just doing it like a new age style. So like, I respect you. You definitely a contender, but like, you sit down, chill the fuck out. And then Invincible comes out. And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. And pushes both of them out of the way. And it's like, hi, give me the Emmy. I'm talking voice acting. These actors, these are top level actors.
Yeah.
And they're not phoning anything in. They are killing it. And I'm just like, this is their voices. The cartoons are trying to emote their voices, and they're doing a good job at that. And then you hear and feel the punches. Like when Nolan headbutted him into the subway station, the headbutt was the thing that made me go, oh, and then the people. And I was like, holy shit. Another thing is that Nolan, I actually hated and also pitied in this episode. Like, I'm like, they're really they're doing a fantastic job of making you hate him. Yep. But at the same time, you're seeing he doesn't kind of want to do it. He's doing it because he feels he has no other choice. Mostly because he ruined his family life. So now he's just a Viltrumite. And so he's like, yo, son, get on page. And then he's just being a Viltrumite, but he's doing it to escape the pain of losing his family. And it's sad. And the more and more he's acting like an abusive father, the more and more he's hating himself for it. And it's just like, this is all coming from a cartoon. Yeah. And the fact, like, I have no disrespect to anyone who liked Man of Steel, 100%. But one of the things that bothered me about Man of Steel is, like, they destroyed an entire city and Superman helped in that destruction. And everyone was like, yo, man, like, whatever, it's cool, fight scene. I'm like, yeah, but can you imagine how many people died? And Superman was a part of that? Here is like Invincible, like, yeah, he's not at the level of Superman in terms of like being able to do his shit properly, but like he was not trying to get like pick a fight in the city. He was just trying to stop his dad. And or there were also other times he was trying to get the fuck out of there. And Nolan purposely was like, no, if you care about these like insects, I will kill them until they mean nothing to you. And you're just like, and Darcy, Tactix, the train scene. You guys said it all. I was sitting here in my spot right here, and like the first time I was watching it, I was laughing and horrified because I was laughing because I was horrified. I didn't know what else to do because I was like, area, bro. I was like, oh my god! And that wasn't in the comic. That was completely no. All they showed was Nolan punching him. He hits the city collapses, and then the next panel is he's beating him more in the air. Everything that happened was newly written.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like Kirkman is improving on his work really fucking well. Yeah. And I felt a little bit of emotion when I read the scene on the slopes of the mountain, but hearing Stephen Young and J.K. Simmons in that last scene when he's yelling at him, it's like, what will you have in 500 years? And he's like, I have you. I'm going to stop right now because I'm getting teary-eyed right now. I'm not going to start crying on camera. I'm not going to start crying on camera.
That moment for Nolan is so like, he's like, when he says it to him, you can tell he's like, I missed the fucking plot. I missed it. Like he's like we'll lose everybody, but the two of us would be here this whole time. If we protected this planet, we'd be doing it together. We'd live through all of this together. That's the thing that your Viltrumites don't understand.
Yeah, and honestly,
and then the scene when he flies away, and then you see the tear come out of his eyes, and you're like, oh,
and hit that camera. Kirkman's like, no, we're gonna make sure you know he was crying.
Yeah. Like honestly, like. I honestly, all 3 times I watched this episode, all 3 times that scene made me tear up. Like, and like I can't stop myself. I try to steal. It's like watching the end of Endgame with like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, that hit me like a sucker already. Yeah.
No. Like, Darcy, you're 100% correct. It's a gut punch. Yeah. And honestly, out of all the all the comic book movies, all the superhero shows and cartoons, The Boys, I accept, and like honestly, Endgame had 10 years of setup to make that gut punch. This had 7 episodes and hit me harder emotionally than anything I've ever seen in like any other superhero stuff. This will be talked about. This, like, for crying out loud, this should be studied in film class or something, or writing school, or I don't know if what cares. Just like write essays, write fucking essays about this episode because this episode deserves it.
Yeah, I agree. This like he improved on his work. I like the actors. J.K. Simmons killed it.
He killed it.
Steven killed it. Sandra Oh is my favorite actors in this, and because I watch Grey's Anatomy. Like, I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan. Okay, I've watched like a lot of the show, and when she left, she was like a big gut punch to leaving the show.
I stopped watching after she left. That's how much she was for me.
And then when I saw that she was in this, I'm like, you made a good choice. Like this show for me, the hardest sell to get somebody who's not like a geek into this is the cartoon part. But this show is beyond most shows that exists in terms of the content within it. Like if you can sell somebody past the things that would normally be the trip ups and they get to that eighth episode, they're gonna be like, yo, but then you're setting them up for disappointment because like most other cartoons are not gonna live up to this.
Honestly, all you need to do is get them to watch the first episode. After that, like they will want to know more. But like this series is more like it's more realistic than any of the live action stuff we've seen.
Yeah, it is so realistic to what being a superhero would be. And you know, like Tack was saying before about that arm, right? One, they drew it in a way where it was like it could just been a simple sever. No, it was torn, and you saw the meat. And then I loved, because I've watched this back a few times, but like when he drops the arm, then his dad comes down. It pans the camera back out, and it puts the arm, then Mark, and then Nolan, and just the visual of like what he's like protecting and how he's failing at it, and it's just like you chose that moment for us. Thank you. I hate you.
I will also have to say, like, in a lot of superhero stuff, you see a lot of collateral damage that happens as a result of the fight. Like they're fighting each other, but they're not really paying attention to what's around them, and like stuff gets wrecked because of it. This was the exact opposite. Nolan was purposely hitting things on purpose. Like the ship, they had no reason to hit the ship. He did that on purpose.
Oh yeah.
And oh man, the pilots.
Yeah, where's the other one? Like when he says, he's like, yeah, so where'd the other one get off to? Like that's like the other pilot's just like, he's just like gunning it. And he's like, where'd he go? I'm like,
oh man, like honestly, like I just remember like the guy even thanked Mark for doing it and then turns around and just smashes his face.
Yeah. I thought I was going to die. Or I didn't think I was gonna make it. I think he said, I don't think I was gonna make it. And then he falls down behind him. He's like, oh fuck. Like it's over.
Yeah, like oh my god, this series just yeah.
If they gave us a quarter of these moments, it would still be insane.
Yeah, Tactix, any final words regarding the season finale?
Yo, second season can't come fast enough, man. That's all I can say.
Amen,
I need it.
brother.
I need it in my life right now.
Amen. Like honestly, yeah. Like
would you want a live action movie?
They are doing a live action movie. Seth Rogen is doing a live. He's the one who voices the Cyclops Alan. He's doing a live action movie. I don't want it.
I don't want it.
I want them like leave it alone. You have it perfect. Stop.
Yeah.
I think eventually down the line, I wouldn't mind seeing a live action adaptation of this, but just not right now. I think like let the cartoon breathe, like give it its time to shine, and then maybe in a couple like 10 years from now, you can revisit this in a live action format.
I'm worried about what the live action would do because like like we have what 2 to 2.5 hours to tell a story.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. We still have the cartoon, if anything.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle to streamline like a story and still get across his growth, even if the story was like the movie's just season 1, right? Yeah. Like you would have to cut a lot of events that are part of him learning his powers, and you end up feeling very rushed because all you have to focus on is the father and him, right? And the mystery behind that and the terror, but then you lose all of like Steven's character growth, right? Everything that Mark becomes. So,
all right, before we have to go because we have like a minute and a half left, but like I gotta say, when he was talking about his wife and she was hearing everything, like he compared her to a pet.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
I was afraid he was gonna go that far when he was about to say it. And I'm like, he's gonna say pet. He's gonna say pet. Fuck, he said pet.
Yeah. And like the part where he's like, I will burn this planet to the ground before I live another minute as an animal. And I'm just like,
damn. By the way, before we close out, shout out to Cecil. Just shout out to Cecil.
Cecil, man.
Every scene, even him in the Sandra scene, so he's like try to make it as right as I can. Oh, hard.
Yo, that scene where like they go into that room, it's like, yeah, we've put stuff in the water so like the human body and the human eyes can no longer see this level of
Frequency of light.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, nonetheless, we loved Invincible.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that'll do it for today's podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, and like and subscribe.